In the bustling city of Riverside, where glass towers touched the clouds and luxury cars lined every street, there lived two families whose wealth was matched only by their love for their children. The Adeyemi family had a son named Brian, a bright-eyed boy of 8 with a smile that could light up any room. The Okonkwo family had a daughter named Bella, also 8, with laughter like tinkling bells. Their parents were successful business people who worked long hours to provide the best life money could buy. Brian and Bella met at Riverside Academy, the most expensive school in the city, where children of the wealthy learned side by side. From the first day, they became inseparable friends, sharing their lunches, their dreams, and soon, their newest possessions. On Brian's 8th birthday, his father presented him with a gleaming smartphone. "You're growing up now, Mr. Adeyemi said proudly. "This will help you learn and stay connected." The phone was top of the line, with unlimited data and no restrictions. Not to be outdone, Mrs. Okonkwo gifted Bella an identical phone the following week. "Every child has one these days," she reasoned, kissing her daughter's forehead before rushing off to another business meeting. At first, the phones seemed like wonderful gifts. Brian used his to look up facts about dinosaurs, his current obsession. Bella downloaded educational games that taught her mathematics. Their parents felt proud and modern, believing they were preparing their children for a digital future. But slowly, like a river that changes course so gradually no one notices until the flood comes, things began to shift. Brian discovered video platforms where he could watch anything he wanted. At first, it was cartoons and magic tricks. Then the algorithm, that invisible hand guiding what he saw, began suggesting other content. Videos of pranks where people got hurt. Clips of children his age using words his parents never used at home. Shows where disrespecting adults was treated as comedy. Bella, too, found herself in a similar maze. She stumbled upon social media through her phone's browser, creating accounts by simply clicking that she was 13 years old, though she was only 8. She saw pictures of other girls who seemed so confident, so perfect, so different from her. She began comparing herself to them, feeling smaller with each scroll. The two friends would sit together at break time, no longer talking and laughing, but hunched over their glowing screens, absorbed in separate worlds though they sat side by side. At home, Brian's behavior began to change in ways his parents initially dismissed as just a phase. He started talking back when asked to do his homework. The respectful boy who once helped his younger sister now imitated the rude YouTubers he watched for hours each night, hidden under his blankets. "Brian," set the table for dinner, his mother would call. "Why should I? That's boring." "I'm busy," he'd snap back, his eyes never leaving the screen. His grades, once excellent, began to slip. His teacher, Mrs. Nwosu, called his parents in for a meeting. "Brian seems distracted," she explained gently. "He's often tired in class, and when I collected his phone during a test, he became aggressive." That's not the Brian we know. Meanwhile, Bella's transformation was quieter but equally troubling. She became obsessed with how she looked, constantly asking her mother if she was pretty enough. She refused to eat certain foods, claiming they would make her fat, like the internet told her. One evening, Bella's older cousin noticed she was watching makeup tutorials meant for teenagers and young adults, some with suggestive content completely inappropriate for a child. When her cousin alerted Mrs. Okonkwo, Bella threw a tantrum unlike any she'd had before. "Everyone else can watch what they want. You don't understand anything," she screamed, her small face twisted with an anger that seemed too large for her body. The breaking point came on a Saturday afternoon. Brian and Bella, both glued to their phones, were at the park with their families. They had discovered a challenge on social media where children filmed themselves doing dangerous stunts for likes and views. Without thinking, without considering consequences the way children with still developing brains cannot fully do, they climbed to the highest point of the playground equipment. Brian's phone was propped up, recording, as they prepared to jump onto a pile of sand below, imitating what they'd seen online. "Wait!" A grandmother sitting nearby rushed forward, her face pale with fear. "Children, no. That's too high." Startled, Brian lost his balance. He fell, not gracefully like in the videos, but awkwardly, painfully. His arm took the impact, and the crack that followed made everyone freeze. At the hospital, as doctors wrapped Brian's broken arm in a cast, his parents sat in stunned silence. Bella's parents were there too, shaken by how close their own daughter had come to the same fate. "What happened to our children?" Mr. Adeyemi whispered, his successful businessman's confidence crumbling. "When did we lose them?" Mrs. Okonkwo held her husband's hand, tears streaming down her face. "We gave them everything. How did we give them too much?" An older doctor, having treated children's injuries for 30 years, sat down with both families. "Technology is not evil," he began, his voice kind but firm. "But in the hands of a child, without guidance, it's like giving them a car to drive. They don't have the judgment, the experience, the fully developed mind to navigate safely." He continued, "Children's brains are still forming. They are learning what's normal, what's acceptable, how to treat others, how to see themselves. When they spend hours each day absorbing content designed for adults, or even content designed to keep them watching regardless of the cost to their well-being, we shouldn't be SEP." This phone had parental controls. It had time limits. Most importantly, it came with an agreement. His parents would regularly check what he was watching, and Brian would keep his phone in the living room at night, not under his pillow. "But Dad," Brian protested initially, then paused. He remembered the broken arm, the anger he used to feel all the time, how tired he always was. "Actually, that sounds fair." Bella's parents made a similar decision, with similar rules. But both families also made a pact. Technology would be a tool in their homes, not a replacement for parenting, not a substitute for genuine human connection. Years later, when Brian and Bella were teenagers, they sometimes spoke about those early years. By then, they had phones they managed responsibly. They understood how algorithms worked, how content could manipulate emotions, how important it was to think critically about what they consumed. "We were lucky," Bella said one afternoon as they studied together. "Lucky our parents caught us before something worse happened." Brian nodded, looking at his long-healed arm. "Lucky they cared enough to set boundaries, even when we hated them for it." The story of Brian and Bella spread through Riverside, whispered between parents at school gates and discussed at community meetings. It became a modern folktale, a cautionary tale for the digital age. And the moral of the story, the elders would say, is this: a parent's love is shown not by giving children everything they want, but by teaching them to want what is good for them. Technology is a powerful tool, but in the hands of a child, it needs a wise guide. No smartphone can raise a child, no algorithm can teach values, and no screen can substitute for a parent's presence, attention, and guidance. What every parent should know is this: childhood is short, brains are developing, and protection is not the same as restriction. It's about balance, boundaries, and being present. We shouldn't be surprised when they change. That night, both families made difficult decisions. The phones were taken away, and with them came tears, arguments, and accusations of unfairness from Brian and Bella. For several days, the children were irritable, anxious, constantly reaching for devices that were no longer there. Their parents were shocked to realize their children had developed something close to addiction. But Mr. Adeyemi and Mrs. Okonkwo, along with their spouses, stood firm. More importantly, they changed too. They cut back on work hours. They had family dinners without any screens, where they actually talked about their days. They took Brian and Bella to the park and played with them instead of sitting on benches scrolling through their own phones. Mr. Adeyemi started a Friday tradition called Story Night, where he told Brian folktales from his childhood, stories of the tortoise and the leopard, of bravery and wisdom. Brian, who hadn't heard these stories before, was captivated. Mrs. Okonkwo began cooking with Bella on weekends, teaching her recipes passed down from her grandmother. They laughed together, made messes together, and Bella learned that her worth wasn't in being perfect but in being herself. Slowly, like dawn breaking after a long night, the real Brian and Bella began to emerge again. Brian's teacher reported he was engaged in class, his natural curiosity returning. Bella stopped constantly asking if she was pretty and started asking about things that genuinely interested her, like why birds could fly and whether she could learn to play the guitar. The two friends rediscovered the joy of playing together without screens between them. They built forts, created treasure hunts, and laughed until their sides hurt. When Brian turned 10, his parents sat him down for a serious conversation. "You've shown us you're more mature now," his father said. "We are going to give you a phone again, but with some differences. The greatest gift you can give a child is not the latest device, but your time, your wisdom, and your love. As the old saying goes, the same fire that cooks your food can also burn down your house. It is not the fire that is good or bad, but the wisdom of the one who tends it."
Look, it's mixing!
Yes, keep going.